serious, reliable. We are fully committed with NATO. We think NATO is much more than a military alliance. It's a community of values, and in these difficult moments, this idea of unity is very important. We feel very proud because when we are together, when we are showing this image of unity, we are stronger. So really, it's very important for NATO to show this idea of unity. For Spain, we feel really very proud of our participation during 40 years. All of you have a book. It's a book, 40 years of Spain's active participation in NATO, with pictures of all the missions Spain has participated. I want to pay tribute to all Spanish soldiers who have died during 40 years, and they have died because they were fighting for a world in peace, with more justice and security. So thank you very much. Welcome here to this center. Y particularmente quiero dirigirme a todos los miembros de las Fuerzas Armadas Españolas. Este día es un día muy importante que celebramos este 40 aniversario. Pero como decía Su Majestad el Rey, y yo hago mías sus palabras, estos 40 años de participación de España en la OTAN han sido posibles gracias al esfuerzo y al sacrificio de todos los hombres y mujeres de las Fuerzas Armadas, de los que dieron su vida durante este periodo de tiempo, de los que están en este momento en lugares lejanos defendiendo la paz, la libertad y la seguridad. Como ministra de Defensa y como ciudadana española, gracias de corazón a todos los soldados españoles, no solamente los que participan en misiones de OTAN, sino a los que todos y cada uno están en distintos lugares y son un ejemplo para todos los españoles. Así que un magnífico día para felicitarnos todos, para felicitar a los soldados españoles. And I repeat, it's a pleasure and an honor to receive all of you here in Spain. I'm sure next summit will be a success and will be the success of the peace and the success of the freedom and the security. Thank you very much, and cuando quiera.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. There is no need to say that it's a great honor for us to receive you at this Joint Operations Command. Ministra, Your Excellencies, I don't want to start this meeting, this conference, without excusing the absence of our Chief of Defense. I'm sure he will be, his wish will be to attend here and to salute you in person, but due to personal reasons, he's not able to stay here with us. I'm sure we are not going to show you anything you don't know, but our interest, our aim is to show who we are. So right now, without any further introduction, I'm going to pass the floor to the General Vidal, who is the Deputy Chief of Staff Operations. Javier, go ahead.
Dentro vídeo. Defense Minister, ambassadors, thank you for coming to the Spanish Joint Command for Operations. That's the MOPS in Spanish. We are very honored for hosting you, especially today, because today we celebrate San Fernando, St. Ferdinand Day, co-patron saint of Spain, the day of the Spanish Armed Forces, and also, as you will know, the anniversary of the Spanish membership of the NATO alliance. Let me start my briefing pointing out where this Joint Command is located in the chain of command for military operations. The Joint Command for Operations is the only headquarters in Spain established at the operational level and is placed right under the Chief of Defense. Underneath this Joint Command, there are several headquarters at the tactical level, working as component commands. Although we differentiate the structure used for the command and control of operations under national command, the ones on the bottom left of the screen, and the component commands used to run the standing operations here in Spain, the ones on the bottom right of the screen. All the detachment, military units, personnel, and capabilities transferred to an international organization of defense and security, such as NATO, the EU, or the UN, depend from the national point of view directly from this headquarters. The main responsibilities for this headquarters are to perform the planning of every operation, including the standing operations, current operations, and contingency plans. Second, to conduct every military operation under national command. As an example, from this headquarters, it was commanded the extraction of Afghan interpreters and their families from the airport of Kabul last summer. And another example of conducting an operation was all the support that the Spanish armed forces offered during the COVID-19 pandemic in a military operation called Balmis initially and later Baluarte. Another important task for this command is to monitor all the operations abroad in which our forces are transferred to an international organization of defense and security, like NATO. In those cases, we take care of national issues, such as the change of personnel, and follow the performance of all these units while in duty. And finally, the direction of the logistics support needed for all operations abroad is made from this command, using both military means, transport aircraft and ships, and also by a logistic operator. And what military capabilities do we deploy? Well, basically, everything. Tanks, infantry, mechanized toys, field artillery, special operation forces, logistic and engineering units, frigates, patrol vessels, submarines, mine hunters, logistic ships, and maritime patrol aircraft, fighter, transport aircraft, air refueling aircraft, helicopters, ground-based air defense, surveillance radars, air medevac, counter-IED, electronic warfare, and along, etc. This huge array of military capabilities allows us to participate in a full spectrum of operations, from the low-intensity peacetime activities of monitoring and surveillance national domains to the high-intensity and tempo full combat operation. And this is a global view of where our armed forces are deployed abroad. Around 3,000 military men and women spread around Europe, Asia, and a small part of South America, and the seas and oceans surrounding them. As you can see also, the flag showing the international organization our forces are working for. And we will focus later on a Spanish contribution to NATO operation, but we will see now a brief summary on our participation in other military operations and missions abroad. Spain makes a significant contribution to the European Union military operations. It is a consequence of the strategic value that the security and stability in this area has to Spain, especially the Sahel. Therefore, Spanish forces participate in all European missions established in Africa. From coast to coast, we are deployed in the Indian Ocean, Djibouti, Somalia, Mozambique, Central African Republic, Mali, and Senegal. Spain is also the biggest contributor in some of these missions, leading some others, and is also providing the operational headquarters to run an operation, as it is the case for the Operation Atalanta. And Spanish participation in United Nations missions is also a long tradition. Our main contribution to the UN Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, has been present in the area of operations for almost 20 years. Spain commands now one of the sectors in which this area is divided, provides a broad array of military capabilities, and right now is leading the mission, providing the mission force commander. We also have a small participation as observers in the UN mission for verification to the peace process in Colombia. And finally, let me make a quick review on other activities, these ones in the bilateral scope that Spain maintains with many African countries located in Western Africa. We have already mentioned the strategic importance of this area in terms of security and stability. As a consequence, Spain carries on several activities on those countries, providing capability building, mutual knowledge, and close relationship. And now we focus back on the Spanish participation in NATO operations. As you may see on the map, Spanish forces are mainly deployed in the east of Europe by land, sea, and air, an effort that has been increased since the invasion of Ukraine. Thus, Spain makes honor to the NATO Collective Defense Core Task, fully committed to defend and deter to any aggression in the sovereign territory to the alliance. But Spain makes also a significant contribution to the crisis management task, participating in two main counter-terrorism NATO missions, one in Iraq and the other in the Western Mediterranean and Strait of Gibraltar. And finally, I want to point out that Spain also contributes to show the NATO cohesion and strength by performing military baseline activities, current operations, and standing operations in our national territory. Some of these forces are directly transferred to the NATO chain of command, as it is the case with the air surveillance and defense assets. Some others, mainly maritime assets, collaborate with the requirements of NATO commands. And in general, all our forces employed in these activities are aligned with the posture and profile established by the NATO Stratcom strategy. Here you can see the main military capabilities offered to each mission during this year. Some of them are permanent, and some others are deployed for a period of time. In red is shown the next contribution, which is the deployment of an air defense battery to be integrated under NATO command in Latvia. You will have now the possibility to have a talk through a BTC with the commanders of the main units of forces deployed in these missions. But before that, I don't want to forget to mention the contribution that Spain makes to the NATO reaction force, ready to be deployed and operate there where the alliance may request it. More than 3,500 people and a lot of powerful military capabilities, another sign of the firm commitment of Spain with the objectives and principles of the North Atlantic Alliance over these last 40 years. And now we will connect with different locations around the world where there are Spanish military units integrated in NATO mission and operations. And we will start with Baghdad, NATO mission in Iraq. General, go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, North Atlantic Council ambassadors. I am General Carlos Algado, Chief of Staff of NATO mission in Iraq, so-called NMI. After 10 months in this mission, I can tell you that it's an honor for me to be able to address you and give you more details about the operation that NATO is carrying out in Iraq. The Spanish contingent in Iraq is about 300 military personnel deployed in Operation Iraq Support. The complexity of this mission lies in the fact that we are participating in two different operations, both well coordinated, the US-led coalition and the NMI. As you may know, NMI is a demand-driving advisory mission at the highest level within the Iraqi security and defense institutions. NMI is a small mission with no more than 550 civilian and military people. However, it's providing advice to the entire Iraqi Ministry of Defense by improving its organization, updating its processes, defense policies, etc. It can be said that in this mission, a little goes a long way. In other words, with few people, we can do much. In NMI, in addition to the advisors and the headquarters staff, the Spanish Armed Forces has deployed a company-sized force protection unit and a medical section. In total, more than 140 Spaniards are in NMI. Spain is the largest contributor in NMI, but the real protagonists of the Spanish contribution are the advisors within the division. In the Crisis Establishment 23, we expect to have about 30 positions between the division and the NMI headquarters. This leads towards an expectation to lead the mission in 2023. In addition to that, the Spanish helicopter unit belonging to the coalition deployed in Al-Assad Air Base is working in close coordination with the NMI Italian Tactical Air Detachment, and both are supporting the movement of NMI advisors. Nowadays, we are living in a particular moment where the influence of external scenarios is noticeable. This can be an opportunity for NATO if we act correctly. What is clear is that if we do not do the job, others will, and you may know to whom I refer. Sir, ambassadors, we are well integrated in the NATO mission Iraq, with clear direction and guidance given by Spain and Commander NMI, Lieutenant General Janucci, and we are in a good place and very keen to achieve the NATO goals. That's all from Baghdad.
Thank you very much, General. And we move now to the Central Mediterranean, where the Standing Naval Maritime Countermine Group is operating. Meteoro, commanding ship, go ahead, please.
Ambassadors of the North Atlantic Council, good afternoon. I am Captain Núñez de Prado, commander of the Standing NATO Mine Countermeasures Group 2, on board Spanish ship Meteoro, which is my flagship during this deployment and whose commanding officer is here next to me. I took over the command of this group for 1 year, and I will relinquish it to the Turkish Navy at the end of next June. It is the third time in the history of this group that Spain is in command. During the past 11 months under my command, the group has been continuously deployed at sea, in the Mediterranean as well as in the Black Sea, 2 times last year. Our primary role is to provide the NATO response force with a fully integrated mine countermeasures capability for operations. As the rest of the naval permanent groups, we contribute to NATO performing several tasks, ranging from training in different exercises, partnerships with non-NATO countries, enhancing interoperability with them. For example, last year we visited Israel, Malta, and Georgia. And next week we will visit Algiers, with the possibility to receive on board up to 17 ambassadors belonging to different NATO nations, which is for us a great honor. We have also contributed to NATO transformation, collaborating in a very active way with the NATO CMRE, Center for Maritime Research and Investigation, embarking on board my flagship during 3 weeks a team of scientists to demonstrate autonomous collaborative mine countermeasures missions. With the VJTF activation last March, we moved from a static schedule of operations to an operationally scheme of maneuver, which has provided us the ability to be in the right place at the right moment to respond to any situation. In this regard, our third deployment in the Black Sea, scheduled for March this year, was cancelled. It included a visit to Ukraine, but the situation didn't allow us to demonstrate our solidarity and commitment with this nation. Drifting mines have appeared in the Black Sea, 4 in total so far. We have been preparing ourselves to counter this threat or any other mine threat in the area of interest. Finally, NATO Black Sea neighboring countries are removing this threat from the sea, whereas we remain in standby and ready in case of need. As a standard element of the VGTF, the group till yesterday was composed of 4 mine hunters from France, Germany, Italy and Greece, plus 1 Spanish flagship. This last flagship provides me with enough command and control capabilities to operate in a standing NATO naval group. Besides, she provides the mine countermeasure units with all required logistic needs. Before finishing, I would like to highlight in this difficult scenario we are moving today the clear instructions and orders received from MARCOM, to whom my operational control is delegated. In addition, the support and guidance received from Spanish Joint Operation Command has made my job as commander of one of the NATO standing groups much easier. That's all from my part, sir.
Thank you very much, Commodore. And we move now to the Baltic countries, to Lithuania, where the Baltic Air Policing Mission takes place. Vilkas Tactical Air Detachment. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, ambassadors. I'm Lieutenant Colonel David Soto from the Spanish Air Force, Hornet pilot with more than 2,000 flight hours of experience. Right now, I'm the Spanish detachment commander for the Baltic Air Policing Block 59 and Siole Air Base. The Baltic Air Policing is a peacetime and a defensive mission. Its main objective is to preserve the integrity of the NATO airspace, contributing to deter any threat to the alliance while NATO airspace is secure. The first Spanish contribution to the Baltic Air Policing was in 2006 with the Mirage F1. Since then, Spain has contributed several times with different air assets. NATO's defense system mission is to detect and identify every single aircraft, civilian or military, flying inside of the NATO area's responsibility. When an aircraft can be identified, the CAOC decides whether the action of a QRA aircraft is needed or not. If decided, an Alpha Scramble mission is launched to early intercept, identify, and escort the unknown aircraft. On the 1st of April, Spain took over the Baltic Air Policing responsibility at Siole Air Base as a leading nation. And together with the Czechs in Siole and the French in Amari as supporting nations, we are covering the air policing at the Baltic states until the end of July. Our detachment comprises of 140 personnel from 15 Spanish units. However, the 12 fighter wings offer the 75% of the personnel. We deployed 8 Hornets, 6 under NATO command, and that's the biggest contribution that Spain has ever provided to this mission. The operational capability that we are offering is an air defense armed fighters on alert, with a readiness status of 15 minutes. That means when a CAOC gives an order to scramble, we must be on the air in less than 15 minutes, 24 a day, 7 days a week. In addition to the air policy missions, we are providing enhanced vigilant activities like border patrol along the 3 Baltic states or combat air patrol in Poland, offering to NATO an immediate armed response. At the same time, we are performing training missions and participating in exercises with other allied nations, demonstrating the joint and combined interoperability of Spain assets within NATO. To finish my word, I want to highlight the great effort that my personnel is doing here. We have already flown over 230 sorties and more than 400 flight hours since we took over the air policing responsibility last 1st of April. Astonishing numbers for what is a standard in an air policing detachment, demonstrating the great commitment of Spain to this mission. And that's conclude my words, sir.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel. We move to the Eastern Mediterranean, to the Standing Naval Maritime Group. Blas de Lezo Frigate, please, go ahead.
Good afternoon, ambassadors of the North Atlantic Council. I am Commander Luis Carreras Presas do Campo, commanding officer of Spanish frigate Blas de Lezo. Blas de Lezo is integrated in one of the 4 task groups forming the Maritime Very High Readiness Joint Task Force. We are operating mainly in the Eastern Mediterranean. Last January, Blas de Lezo was getting ready to join Standing Naval Forces, SNMG-2, in mid-February in a 45 days deployment, when the crisis in Ukraine sped up. Finally, we got underway on January 22, and the deployment was extended until the end of June. After the invasion of Ukraine, the operational framework changed. The SNMG-2 increased its readiness, and finally, on March 24, the BJTF was activated. This activation modified the command and control structure and gave to the operational command, MARCOM, a more flexible schedule of maneuver mechanism to accomplish the mission. At tactical level, this change led the task group to keep a continuous presence at sea and to show how standing naval forces are a formidable tool for peacetime activities or any kind of crisis, moving under the freedom of navigation principle around the Mediterranean or wherever we have to. The task group is commanded by an Italian admiral, and it is integrated by a Turkish, Canadian, Italian and French ships. Spain is contributing with 2 ships, Cantabria and Blas de Lezo, with 400 men and women on board. Cantabria, with 180 crew members, it is a logistic support ship, essential to the logistic autonomy of the task group. She is capable of supporting the ships with fuel, food, spares and medical attention. Blas de Lezo is a high-capable anti-air warfare frigate, and we play the main role in air defense, acting as anti-air warfare commander of the group, integrating own capabilities in the NATO air defense systems and organizing and leading air maritime integration activities with surface and air NATO forces operating in the area. After 4 months of deployment, Blas de Lezo and her 214 crew members are strongly committed to the mission, working together with our allies and sea fellows. Every one of us keeps pushing to maintain a high degree of readiness. We are very aware about the real situation and willing that our contribution to deterrence from the sea will be effective. That's all from my side, Your Excellencies.
Thank you very much, Commander, for your words. And now we move back to the Baltic states, integrated in a battle group in Latvia under the Enhanced Forward Presence Initiative. Adathi Camp, go ahead.
Good afternoon, ambassadors of the North Atlantic Council. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Fernando Fuentesal Garcia, Spanish contingent commander in the Operation Enhanced Forward Presence 10th. The operation consists of the deployment of 4 battle groups based in armored and mechanized units, complementing and reinforcing the host nation defense forces from the Baltic states and Poland. The EFP battle group is the most multinational one, with 10 nations represented, being Spain the second largest contingent. Without any doubt, this large number of allies within the same battle group is a challenge, but at the same time give us the flavor about what NATO is, where interoperability, integration, and mutual trust and camaraderie among us is key to succeed in achieving our common goal. Our daily basis is about training together, executing combined exercises, sharing procedures, experiences, and lessons learned. To sum up, servicemen from 10 allied countries working all together for the freedom of our people, the security in our lands, and the defense of our values. In other words, the experience of working in a multinational environment, shoulder to shoulder with our allies, is the most precious gift we bring back home. Nowadays, Spain has deployed more than 500 soldiers in the hand forward present Latvia. Among them, close to 350 are transfers to NATO under tactical command. The rest of the forces, mainly logistic assets and the national support element, remains under national command. Among the forces Spain has transferred as part of the EFP battle group, I would like to highlight the following. A mechanized company composed of 2 mechanized platoons with the Pizarro tracked infantry fighting vehicles, 1 armored platoon with the Leopard 2 Echo main battle tank, and 1 support platoon with mortars, anti-tank, UAV, and reconnaissance teams, among others. A field artillery battery with 6 self-propelled M109 howitzers and a counter-battery radar. An engineer unit with a support platoon and a support platoon with heavy machines and a Dornier Vanguard bridge. A light electronic warfare team, adding a new capability and filling one of the gaps that the EFP battle group and the Latvian brigade had so far. On top of that, we have staff personnel deployed in the EFP battle group, the Latvian brigade, and the Multinational Division North headquarters. I would like to stress that upon Latvian request, Spain is about to deploy a medium-range air defense battery in the coming weeks, reinforcing the Spanish contribution to NATO effort to secure the east flank. To conclude, it goes without saying that I feel honored and proud to be in lead of the Spanish forces in Latvia. The day we celebrate an important milestone in our modern history, the 40th anniversary of Spain joining NATO. 40 years of commitment and solidarity with the alliance in a remarkable and crucial moment, with the war in the threshold of some of our home countries, when Spain has given a step forward, reinforcing NATO capabilities in Latvia to strengthen the bonds among allies, being stronger and more capable than ever before. Pending your question, ambassadors, this is all for Latvia.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel. And we move now to the south of Spain, to the Western Mediterranean, integrated in the NATO Operation Sea Guardian. Frigate Reina Sofia. Go ahead, please.
Ambassadors of the North Atlantic Council, Commanding Officer Juan Belizón, Commanding Officer of the Frigate Spanish Navy Reina Sofia, patrolling the western approaches of the Mediterranean Sea in support of the NATO Operation Sea Guardian. As you may know, Operation Sea Guardian is a flexible operation that can cover the full range of maritime security tasks. However, the operation has lately focused on maritime security capacity building and they provide support to maritime situational awareness and also to maritime counterterrorism. Additionally, this Operation Sea Guardian, can execute some other tasks as like uphold freedom of navigation, maritime interdiction, fight the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, and also if there is need of this, the protection of critical infrastructures. What we're doing these days in these patrols, we get in contact with the maritime community. We call them by VHF radio. We study their movements. We analyze the pattern of life, and all this to let them know, to make them feel that NATO is present in the area. And if they want to carry out illegal activities, it's going to be a difficult task for them. We are presently heading west. We are scheduled to hit the naval base, our base in Rora, tomorrow, and we have a maintenance period. And then from mid-June to mid-July, we're going to have a focus operation within this Operation Sea Guardian. When we talk about focus operation, we mean a concentration of assets and effort in a particular place for a particular period of time to concentrate all the goals of this operation. This focus will be the fourth of this year and will take place from the Strait of Gibraltar to the Balearic Island in this period, as I said, until mid-July, more or less. Through this operation, Operation Sea Guardian, Spain is supporting NATO with a lot of assets. It's a terrific amount of effort in this operation for years, doing these frigates, patrol vessels, submarines, aircraft, both from the Navy and from the Air Force, protecting and giving security, looking for a safer and more secure environment here in the southern front, while collaborating with other actors like the European Union, North African countries, and the global maritime community. And basically, that's all from my side. Open to questions you may have.
Commander, thank you very much for your words. And finally, we move to the Adriatic Sea, where the Spanish Carrier Strike Group is operating under the Neptune Shield initiative. Juan Carlos I, go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, ambassadors of the North Atlantic Council. This is Rear Admiral Nacho Céspedes, commanding officer of the Spanish Carrier Strike Group. We are a multi-platform unit of ships, aircrafts, and over 600 sailors with high-end maritime expeditionary capabilities, able to perform with flexibility a diverse range of mission sets, including forward naval presence and naval power projection. This strike group is composed by aircraft carrier Juan Carlos I, with a fixed wing of 5 Harrier fighters and a rotary wing formed by an helicopter 60 Foxtrot, escorted by Aegis frigate Almirante Juan de Borbón. And now we are deployed in the Adriatic Sea under national chain of command, taking part in Adriatic Strike exercise. Adriatic Strike is being held in Slovenia, and it is a multinational exercise with more than 30 allies, partners and friends nations. His primary training mission is to provide close air support to ground units in order to find, track, engage, fix, and moving targets. Spain participated with 3 tactical air control parties on the ground, 2 Army helicopters operating from Slovenia, and 5 Navy Harrier fighters projected from the sea from Juan Carlos I, while the frigate Almirante Juan de Borbón screened the aircraft carrier controlling of the sea. Besides, the Spanish Carrier Strike Group is fully supporting NATO Neptune Shield 22 activities in the Mediterranean Sea as a visible demonstration of the ability of the alliance to cooperate and integrate effectively and to bolster the alliance dynamic deterrence, cohesion and unity. In this framework, we are working with other allied carrier groups. Of note, during these days, we are having a close collaboration with the EU's Harry Truman Carrier Strike Group in the Mediterranean Sea, and tomorrow it is scheduled to perform 3 carrier activities in South Adriatic Sea between the American, Italian and Spanish carrier group, showing interoperability, improving the capacity to work together with allies in continued vigilance and defense, and demonstrate at the end the firm and the real commitment of the Spain with NATO efforts. That's all from the Spanish Strike Group side. Thank you very much for your attention. That's all, sir.
Thank you very much, Admiral. Finally, we had scheduled a connection with Turkey with an air defense battery integrated into the NATO air defense system, but unfortunately, due to technical issues, the connection has not been possible to be established. Therefore, Defense Minister, Ambassadors, this is the end of the briefing and also of the BTC, and now we remain pending on your questions. Thank you very much.
Just a few words for Spanish soldiers. Even if I had the opportunity to tell you, particularly some of you, I want to repeat, we feel very proud of your job. We are defending not only Spain, you are defending the peace in the world, in the NATO. We feel really very proud. Today we are commemorating this anniversary, and you are the best representation of Spain. You are the best representation of Spanish Armed Force. all over the world. And I will repeat always, we feel very proud of all of you, and thank you very much.
Mr. Minister, thank you very much for allowing me to say a few words to the Commander of the Joint Command, Lieutenant General Braco. Dear Paco, good to be here with, and I think all the ambassadors have learned a lot from the 6 missions that briefed us. It's in 3 important domains: the maritime, on land, and air. Unfortunately, the connection with Turkey was not established, but that is also a very important mission. So it is good to hear from the people in the field, so to say, at sea, on land, and with the units, to hear what they are doing. They are the people that actually execute all the important work that is being talked about in the North Atlantic Council on a daily basis. We regularly have force commanders briefing us in the military committee and sometimes in the NEC, but that is most of the time larger missions. So it's good to have the commanding officers of smaller contingents to brief the NEC as well on their important work. So thank you very much. I wish all the commanders and their units all the best in their important work. On behalf of the military committee, and if I may, on behalf of the NEC as well, thank you very much for all the important work you do for NATO.
Thank you, everyone. The BTC is over.
Don't forget the books.